Listen carefully, for what you do in the first 5 minutes of your day determines the next 24 hours of your life. And if you repeat that pattern, it determines the next month, the next year, your entire destiny. This is not just motivational talk. This is law tested by the great men of achievement, proven by time, forgotten by the masses. They wake up already behind, already drowning in limitation, fear, doubt, excuses, the same cycle replayed every morning like a broken record. But you are not like them. You are not here by accident. You are listening because something inside you is ready to awaken, to rebel, to break free from the hypnosis of mediocrity and step into your true design. Let me ask you this: what if 5 minutes could rewire your destiny? What if the words you speak upon waking could ignite forces that bend reality in your favor? That's not fantasy. That's how Edison began his mornings. It's how Ford, Carnegie, Rockefeller, Schwab conditioned their minds before the world could touch them. They spoke with conviction. They declared power over their circumstances before the day had a chance to define them. They didn't scroll through distractions or sip coffee over complaints. They declared victory. They told their subconscious minds what to believe, and the universe responded accordingly. This is not mysticism. This is mental law. You have been letting yesterday's limitations dictate today's behavior, and so you remain stuck, running in place. But all of that changes now. The first phrase you will speak from this day forward until it burns into your very soul is this: I am the master of my fate. Say it with me. I am the master of my fate. Those 7 words are not just words. They are a spiritual sword, a mental shield, a declaration that you are no longer a leaf blown by circumstance, but the wind itself. And here's what most never understand. Your subconscious mind does not care whether a thought is true or false. It obeys only emotion, repetition, belief. You can train it to believe in limitation, or you can command it to believe in greatness. Every empire in history began with a man who dared to believe he could shape reality with his mind. You are no different. When you speak those words, when you look into the mirror and say, I am the master of my fate, you are not lying. You are waking up the truth that's been sleeping inside you since birth. And when that truth awakens, so does your power. Let me tell you the story of a man who had lost everything. His business failed. His confidence shattered. He sat in my presence defeated. I gave him one phrase. This phrase Ann told him to say it each morning with all the fire he had left in his soul. 6 months later, he returned, not just restored, but transformed. He had rebuilt his fortune, doubled it, and walked like a man who had remembered who he was. What changed? Not his external world, not luck, not opportunity. What changed was his identity. He stopped identifying as the victim and became the commander, and the world rearranged itself to obey him. Most people wait for conditions to improve before they improve themselves. That's backwards. The inner world dictates the outer. The command you give to your mind becomes the instruction set for your life. Every morning before your feet hit the floor, say the phrase again, I am the master of my fate. Say it not with desperation, but with certainty. Feel it vibrate in your bones. Because when you do, something starts to shift. A new pattern begins. And this pattern is what rewrites the blueprint of your future. This isn't the end of your morning ritual. It's the beginning. There are more keys, more phrases, more declarations that unlock hidden potential and direct your mind to obey your vision. But everything starts here with the refusal to be ruled by chance. You were born to lead your mind, not follow it. You were born to give orders to your subconscious, to teach it what to believe, what to expect, what to attract. And if you do that every morning with consistency, with emotion, with unshakable faith, you will not just change your days. You will change your life. Now listen closely, because what I'm about to say may offend the part of you that's still clinging to excuses. But that part has to die because you cannot rise while dragging chains. And excuses are chains, comfortable ones you've worn for years, but they've kept you bound to average. You say you want success, but you wake up thinking like a failure. You speak words of doubt before you've taken your first breath of the day. You check your phone, your messages, You're feed-seeking validation from a world that can't even validate itself. That stops now. From this morning forward, your day begins with declarations, not distractions. You don't seek motivation, you create it. You don't hope for focus, you command it. This is the difference between those who drift and those who dominate. Let me be clear. Every morning is a fork in the road, and most people sleepwalk right into defeat because they never made a decision to lead themselves. You are not most people. If you were, you wouldn't be hearing this. The mere fact that these words reached your ears means the door has opened, and what you do next determines everything. Let's continue with the second phrase. My definite chief aim guides my every action. Not some actions, not when it's convenient. Every action. Because without direction, energy is wasted. Without purpose, success is accidental, and accidents don't build empires. The most powerful men in history were not the smartest. They were the most focused. They knew what they wanted, and they built their lives around that aim. When distractions knocked, they didn't answer. When fear crept in, they returned to their aim. Every morning, they reaffirmed it. Why? Because the subconscious mind forgets what it does not feel often. It drifts, and drifting leads to destruction. You don't drift into greatness, you decide your way there. So tomorrow, when the sun hasn't even risen, you rise anyway. You stand before your mirror, your altar, your battlefield, and you speak. You speak not like a beggar, but like a builder. Not like a doubter, but like a designer. Say it again. My definite chief aim guides my every action. Let that phrase pierce through the fog of distraction. Let it burn through every false obligation. Let it remind you that you were not born to be scattered and uncertain. You were born to lock onto a purpose like a missile and pursue it with fire. And understand this, your subconscious is listening. It doesn't care about your emotions. It obeys your instructions. Feed it confusion. It gives you chaos. Feed it clarity, and it gives you power. You want a different life? Then give your mind different orders. Because the man who speaks with intention each morning does not walk like the man who wanders. He walks with a knowing, a steadiness, a gravity, and the world responds to that. This is how we begin. This is how we rise. This is how you reclaim every morning of your life from this moment on. Because when you rise with clarity, you set a tone the world cannot ignore. You stop reacting. You begin to orchestrate. You become the signal, not the noise. And every day that starts with these phrases builds momentum, strength, identity. The man who repeats these words with fire becomes immune to doubt, immune to delay, immune to distraction. Why? Because he has trained his subconscious to follow him, not the other way around. This is the birth of discipline, the awakening of your true self. And this is only the beginning. There are more phrases, more instructions for your subconscious. And in the next morning session, we will dive deeper. But for now, commit, repeat, declare. Because the man who wins the morning owns the day. Your new life begins with this decision. Say the words, feel the power, begin the transformation today. Let's continue. You've just declared that you are the master of your fate. That phrase alone, when spoken with emotion, begins to alter your path. But one phrase is not enough. The subconscious needs direction. It needs specificity. Power without direction is wasted energy. And that's where the next phrase becomes your compass. Say this: my definite chief aim guides my every action. These are not idle words. This is the foundation of your transformation. You must know exactly what you want, clearly, specifically, vividly. A general desire creates a general life. A scattered focus produces scattered results, but a definite chief aim, that turns a man into a force of nature. Think of a missile. Without coordinates, it drifts, but with a locked target, it cannot be stopped. You must be that missile. Each morning, declare your aim. Speak it, see it, feel it. Because your subconscious doesn't understand vague hopes. It responds to clarity. When you define your aim and speak it daily, you ignite your inner machinery. Ideas emerge. People appear. Circumstances shift. It's not magic. It's alignment. Edison had one aim: to illuminate the world. He repeated it daily until his mind bent reality to match his vision. Ford aimed to empower every man with transportation. Rockefeller aimed to refine oil better than anyone. These men were not lucky, they were laser-focused. And you, what is your aim? It must be bigger than survival, bigger than paying bills. It must stretch your soul and pull you forward with urgency. You cannot rise without something that demands your rise. Every morning, don't just say your aim, live it. Let it influence every decision, every action. Let it guide your time, your energy, your focus. Because when your actions align with your purpose, you become unstoppable. Now, let's go deeper. The third phrase in this ritual is, I possess within me all the power I need. Say it out loud. You do not need to chase strength that already lives within you. Most people have been hypnotized to believe they are incomplete. They think they need permission, resources, connections. But the truth is, the seed of everything you seek already exists inside your own mind. When Carnegie spoke of power, he wasn't referring to position or wealthy, meant inner power, the kind that refuses to yield, the kind that doesn't wait for the world to change, but changes the world through sheer will. There is a river of strength flowing through you right now, but you've built dams of doubt, fear, and shame. This affirmation breaks those dams. It unleashes the force that was always there, just waiting for you to believe in it. Say it again. I possess within me all the power I need. When you speak those words, you awaken your creative genius. You access ideas you didn't know you had. Solutions begin to appear. Your body responds. Your posture changes. Your eyes sharpen. That's not imagination. That's power being remembered. Edison didn't have credentials. He had persistence. Washington Carver didn't have access. He had faith. These men achieved the impossible not by waiting for conditions, but by unlocking what was already within them. You must do the same. Every morning, remind yourself, you are not a beggar, you are not a victim, you are a creator. And creators don't wait, they activate. This is where average men fall. They look outside for what only exists within, but not you. You now know that everything begins inside. And from this day forward, you will no longer seek strength, you will speak it. Now we build upon this strength with the next phrase, today I will go the extra mile in all I do. This principle, this one habitus, built more fortunes, transformed more lives, and created more legends than any other. It's simple, yet almost no one does it. Because going the extra mile requires vision, it requires heart, it requires a deep belief that you are planting seeds even when no one is watching. And that's the secret. The extra mile is never crowded, there are no lines, no traffic, only champions. When Schwab turned a failing mill into a profit machine, it wasn't because he was better, it was because he gave more time, more energy, more excellence, and he expected the same from his men. That mill didn't just rise, it dominated. The law of increasing returns says that what you give beyond your duty comes back multiplied. Most people do the bare minimum. They clock in and clock out, living in a cycle of mediocrity. Then they wonder why life gives them leftovers. But you now operate differently. You bring excellence to every moment. You exceed what's expected not for applause, but because that is who you are becoming. Say it. Today I will go the extra mile in all I do. And mean it. Let it guide how you treat people, how you work, how you speak. Let it influence your preparation, your presence, your performance. Because when you adopt this mindset, you rise. You become magnetic. Opportunities chase you. People trust you. The universe responds. This is not theory. This is cause and effect. This is law. You now have 4 of the 11 phrases, 4 keys. And already your internal chemistry is shifting. Your subconscious is taking notes. Your mind is adjusting to a new identity, one of power, focus, faith, and service. But we are not done. There is more to unlock, more codes to install. In the next block, we will dive into the force that attracts wealth and the misunderstood link between value and income. You will not want to miss it. Because when the mind accepts service as the pathway to success, everything changes. Let's be honest, going the extra mile is a lost art. In a world addicted to shortcuts, doing more than expected is viewed as foolish. But that's why it works. Because while others are cutting corners, you are sharpening your edge. While others are coasting, you are climbing. And here's what no one tells you. When you go the extra mile, you meet the right people. You create your own luck. You build a reputation that works for you when you're not in the room. That's not philosophy, that's leverage. I've seen men rise from obscurity simply because they chose to give more than they were paid for. I've watched promotions go to those who didn't just meet expectations, they obliterated them. And when that becomes your standard, life doesn't just improve, it expands. So don't just say the words, live them. When no one's watching, when no applause is guaranteed, when effort seems invisible, do it anyway. That is where champions are built. And now, we move forward. The fifth phrase in this sacred morning ritual is this: I attract wealth through service to others. Say it now. I attract wealth through service to others. This truth will break you free from every lie you've been taught about money. Wealth is not taken. It is not stolen. It is not luck. It is earned through value, through service, through solving problems for others at scale. The world has convinced you that money is dirty, that seeking it is greedy, that those who have it must be corrupt. But I tell you the truth. The size of your income is directly linked to the size of your contribution. If you want to increase your wealth, increase your usefulness. Ask yourself, how can I solve more problems? How can I reach more people? How can I serve with more excellence, more passion, more heart? The marketplace does not care about your intentions. It cares about your impact. When you wake up each morning and declare this phrase, you shift your focus from scarcity to value, from getting to giving. And in that shift, you become magnetic. Wealth begins to chase you, not because you want money, but because you've become valuable. The man who solves problems will never be broke. The woman who brings answers will never be out of work. Say it again. I attract wealth through service to others. Let that truth rewire your beliefs. Let it dissolve your shame around successes. Let's continue this journey. You've just declared that you attract wealth through service. That belief alone reshapes how you show up in the world. But now comes the moment where most give up, where doubt returns, where setbacks arrive. This is where your next phrase becomes your armor. Say it with me now. I transform every failure into a stepping stone. Most people fear failure like it's a disease. They avoid it, run from it, and when it catches them, they quit. But you are not most people. You are no longer built for escape. You are built for transformation. Failure is not the enemy. It is the instructor. It is the mirror that shows you where to sharpen, where to grow, where to rise. And only those who embrace it are given the lessons hidden within it. Think of every great name you admire: Lincoln, Edison, Oprah, Jobs. What do they all share? Failure, public failure, painful failure. But more than that, they share the ability to turn every defeat into direction. Say it again. I transform every failure into a stepping stone. Let those words settle in your bones. Failure does not define you, response does. The man who gets up one more time than he falls cannot be defeated. Every time you fall and rise, you plant the flag of your destiny deeper into the ground. You must not only accept failure, you must invite it as part of the path, because in each failure there is feedback, data, refinement, strength, and more than any, separation from the average. The average, avoid discomfort. You use it. You are not a victim of setbacks. You are a sculptor, and failure is your chisel. Now, let's advance. Because transformation requires more than mindset. It requires time, repetition, tenacity. The next phrase is, I am building my success with patience and persistence. Say it aloud, slowly, with gravity. Impatience is the disease of the unsuccessful. They want results before they've earned them. They want the harvest without the planting, the reward without the repetition. But success is not an event. It is a construction. Brick by brick, choice by choice, morning by morning. When you build with patience, you accept that great things take time, that mastery is not born, it is forged. And when you add persistence to patience, you become a force that time itself must obey. Say it again. I am building my success with patience and persistence. Let me ask you, would you rather grow like a weed or like an oak? A weed is fast. It shows up overnight, but it dies just as quickly. An oak is slow. It fights for space, for light, for strength. But when it grows, it cannot be moved. That's what you are becoming. Every morning you speak this, you remind yourself that today's effort is a deposit, that the compound effect is in motion, that though the change may be invisible now, it is inevitable. Those who quit too soon dig up their seeds before the harvest. But you water them daily. You protect them from weeds of doubt, and you wait. Not passively, but actively with focus, belief, and movement. Success does not come to those who wish. It comes to those who persist. This phrase anchors you in that truth. It quiets the noise of comparison, the rush of the impatient world, and it fixes your eyes on what truly matters. Steady, unstoppable growth. And now we reach one of the most powerful principles of this entire ritual, the guardian of the mind. Say this next phrase. My mind is closed to all negative influences. Yes, closed. You do not let anyone plant weeds in your mental garden. Not the news, not the critics, not your past, not even your own old thoughts. Because what enters your mind becomes your reality. You must protect your mind the way you'd protect your home from intruders. You do not argue with negative voices, you evict them. You do not negotiate with doubt, you override it. Every time someone says you can't, you replace it with, I already am. Every time fear whispers, what if you roar back, I'll make it happen. This is mental discipline, and it is rare, but it is required, because a brilliant plan poisoned by negative thought will always fail, while even an average plan, fueled by conviction, will often succeed. Say it again. My mind is closed to all negative influences. Make this your shield, your standard, your filter. When a thought enters your mind, ask, does this serve my definite chief aim? If it doesn't, out it goes. Because the world will try to program you with fear, with lack, with limitation, but you've taken control now. You've reclaimed the remote. You choose the thoughts. You write the script. And what you think consistent, you become. We've now covered 7 of the 11 sacred phrases. Each one, when repeated with fire, is reshaping your subconscious, carving new channels of identity, strength, and momentum. But we're not done. In the next block, we'll activate one of the most magnetic forces in the universe, a principle so simple and so misunderstood that it has kept millions trapped in lack. And once you understand it, everything will begin to accelerate. Most people underestimate how fragile their mental environment is. They allow gossip, complaints, pessimism, and fear to enter their minds without resistance, and then they wonder why confidence disappears, why doubt grows, why nothing seems to work. But you've begun to build a fortress around your mind. Each brick is an affirmation. Each stone is an intentional thought, and over time, this fortress becomes impenetrable. Let me tell you this. Your success is not only about what you add, it's also about what you eliminate. Remove the poison, and your natural strength returns. You've always had what it takes. But now, without interference, it begins to flourish. Every day, people will try to sell you fear. They'll invite you to the pity party. They'll speak as if life is random, chaotic, out of control. And you will respond not with debate, but with silence and clarity. Because when your mind is closed to negativity, your power is open. Don't be surprised if your circle starts to shrink. Don't panic if people fall away. That's what happens when you raise your mental standards. Only the disciplined few will follow you. The rest will try to pull you back. Don't let them. Say it once more. My mind is closed to all negative influences. This is your declaration of mental sovereignty. Now, let's prepare for what comes next. The 8th phrase will ignite something ancient within you, something that has been dormant but not dead, a force that the most powerful leaders, thinkers, and builders throughout history have relied on. It is the seed of opportunity, the magnet for abundance, the fuel for resilience, and it begins with a simple actone that most overlook because it seems too easy. But simplicity is the signature of truth. And in the next morning session, we will unlock it together. Until then, return to what you've claimed today. Failure is no longer your fear, it is your fuel. Patience is no longer your struggle, it is your strategy. Negativity is no longer your environment, it is your opposition. And you are no longer the person you were when this day began. You have spoken truth into your bones. You have etched power into your subconscious. You have drawn a line between the past you accepted and the future you now demand. Repeat these phrases, feel them, command them, because repetition is what turns fire into a furnace, and from that furnace the new you is being forged. You are not reciting affirmations, you are rewriting your identity. You are not hoping for change, you are engineering it. And the life you desire is already being constructed beneath the surface, one morning at a time. This is the path of those who refuse to live by default, who wake up and choose to rise, to lead, to transform. And as the sun rises tomorrow, you will rise with it stronger, clearer, unshakable. This is just the beginning. You've come far already. And now, we step into the realm of expectation, the silent architect of every outcome. Repeat this phrase with total conviction. I expect the best and I prepare for the best. This is not blind optimism. This is calibrated certainty. Expectation is not a wish, it's a decision. It is the invisible command your mind gives the world. Most people expect problems. They expect setbacks. They expect small results, and so they prepare small, think small, live small, but not you. You've rewired the signal. You now expect the best, and you prepare accordingly. That phrase alone separates the average from the exceptional, because when you expect the best, you stop tolerating crumbs, you stop entertaining excuses, you stop compromising your destiny. You begin to move, speak, think, and plan like someone who knows greatness is inevitable. Say it again. I expect the best, and I prepare for the best. Expectation is the seed. Preparation is the soil. When both are aligned, outcomes are just a matter of time. Let me tell you something few understand. The universe responds to the strongest signal. And when your signal is one of confident preparation, paired with unwavering expectation, the world reorganizes itself to match your belief. That's not magic, that's alignment. Think of a king preparing for war. He doesn't hope he'll win, he expects it, and he trains for it. You are now preparing your empire with that same energy. Write your goals down, plan your next 5 moves, study the map before the journey begins, because preparation is not just wise, it's sacred. And now add fuel to the fire. Speak this phrase now. I give thanks in advance for what is already mine. This is the code of receivership. Gratitude, not as a reaction, but as a declaration. A bold statement that what you've asked for is already on its way. You are not begging life for results, you are thanking it. That's a different frequency entirely. When you give thanks in advance, you live in the feeling of already having, and that feeling is the magnet. It draws people, opportunities, ideas, and breakthroughs into your field, not by force, but by alignment. Say it again. I give thanks in advance for what is already mine. Let it settle into your breath, into your posture, into your expectations. This phrase teaches your subconscious that your vision is not optional, it's promised. It's real. It's inevitable. And because of that belief, you begin to act like the future version of yourself now. Your speech upgrades. Your standards elevate. Your presence becomes magnetic. Most live in the feeling of lack, but you're shifting into the feeling of fulfillment before the proof appears. That's what leaders do. That's what visionaries embody. Gratitude in advance is the bridge between desire and destiny. And don't let the world convince you otherwise. They'll call it delusion. Let them. Because one day they'll call it vision. You are not waiting to feel successful, you feel it now. You are not waiting to be abundant, you act abundant now, because who you are being now is creating what you are receiving next. Gratitude now is evidence that you already believe. So expect the best, prepare for the best, and give thanks before it even arrives. That is the triad of the unshakable. And now we move toward the inner root of it all, the most overlooked principle of power. In the next block, you'll confront the deepest lie you've been told, that you must have something before you become something. But the truth is the opposite. And once you internalize it, you'll never chase results again. You'll attract them. The most powerful transformation occurs when you reverse the formula society teaches. Most people wait. They wait to see results, then believe. They wait to feel confident, then act. They wait for proof before they give thanks. But that's not how this works. Winners don't wait, they align. They declare the outcome, they embody it, they expect it, and they move like it's already done. You must now become a professional of belief, the kind that shows up early, who stays late, who sharpens his craft because he knows it's already his. You're not just hoping for a breakthrough, you are preparing for it. You are laying the tracks for a train you know is coming. You speak like it's done. You act like it's done. You think like it's done. And soon, it is done. Let your expectations become unshakable. Let your preparations become daily rituals. Let your gratitude become a constant frequency. This is how you remove doubt from the equation. You don't debate with it. You replace it with clarity, with repetition, with truth spoken every morning. You say what you expect. You move in agreement with it. And you give thanks as if life already answered. Every word you speak in the morning is a blueprint. Your tongue is the pen, your thoughts are the ink, your spirit is the architect. Stop treating your mornings like a routine. Treat them like a ritual. Sacred, focused, unbreakable. You're not starting the day. You're starting the future. And in the next breath, we're going to challenge something even deeper. We're going to destroy the myth of not ready, because readiness is not a condition, it's a decision. And when you make it, life moves. You've heard the phrase, fake it till you make it, but that's not what this is. There's no faking here. There is becoming. There is aligning. There is stepping into the identity before the outcome arrives. And that, more than any tactic or trick, is what creates momentum. Momentum is born from inner alignment, from saying every morning, this is who I am, this is what I expect, this is what I prepare for, and this is what I give thanks for. Say it again. I expect the best, and I prepare for the best. Say it again. I give thanks in advance for what is already mine. These aren't just phrases, they are recalibrations. Each repetition pulls you away from chaos and back into clarity. You must now become so predictable in your power that nothing external can move you off course. Because storms will come, but when the storm meets someone who expected the best, who prepared for the best, and who already gave thanks, it has no power. You are no longer reacting to life, you are commanding it. And tomorrow morning, you'll do it again. Because greatness is not built in bursts, it's built in rhythm. And yours has just begun. There is a rhythm to the remarkable. It doesn't scream, it doesn't rush, it doesn't beg. It whispers every morning through repetition, through intention, through inner agreement. And you're learning to hear it now. You don't need loud motivation, you need silent certainty, that inner nod that says, this is my path, this is my day, and I've already decided how it ends. It ends in progress, it ends in power, it ends in alignment. The average man waits for a sign. The uncommon man becomes the sign. And today, with these words, you've become a living signal of what's possible. You're not manifesting blindly. You are constructing with precision. You're not guessing your way forward. You are building it intentionally, purposefully, powerfully. And so tomorrow, when the sun returns, you won't rise as who you were. You'll rise as who you decided to be. That decision is the secret. That decision is the gateway. That decision changes everything. Now prepare for the next morning. We're going to unlock the law that governs every transformation, the invisible trigger that few recognize and even fewer master. When you understand it, you'll stop chasing success. Because success will start chasing you. So speak with power, walk with clarity, and return tomorrow ready to rise again. The future is listening. There's a truth that separates those who get close from those who break through. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. You've heard it whispered. Maybe it echoed inside you faintly. But today, it becomes clear. Desire alone is not enough. Wanting is not enough. Wishing is not power. Identity is power. Every morning you wake up inside a blueprint, not one built by your goals, but one built by your beliefs, by your habits, by who you assume yourself to be. And that assumption, your identity, writes the script. Say this with certainty. I don't chase, I align, I don't wish, I become. Because everything you want already exists. The money, the clarity, the connection, the opportunity, the power, it's all there. But it does not move toward the one who wants it, moves toward the one who mirrors it. The one who is it. This is why you must become the version of you that already has it, before you see it. Most people think, when I get there, I'll feel it. But the ones who create history, they feel it first, and that's what gets them there. It's not about faking, it's about forming, constructing from the inside out, becoming emotionally fluent in the vibration of your future self. You must think like them, move like them, speak like them, plan like them, decide like them. Now, you don't become successful and then behave successfully. You behave successfully, and that behavior becomes who you are. And who you are attracts everything that matches it. Say it. I am not becoming, I already am. You'll feel the resistance. That's normal. The ego clings to the familiar, even if the familiar is small, but greatness begins the moment you choose discomfort over delay. You'll see the gap between who you've been and who you are choosing to be. Good. That's not weakness, that's awareness. And awareness is the beginning of real power. Start speaking from your future, not your past. Build rituals that reflect the life you expect. Walk with the posture of the one who already owns the room. You are not an imposter. You are a pioneer. And every morning when you speak, you are not reciting affirmations. You are reminding your subconscious who's in charge. You are casting a new vote for who you've decided to be. Say this now. I don't rise into my day, I rise into my identity. Because the world doesn't just bend to boldness, it bends to alignment. To the man or woman who already lives in the frequency of their highest vision. And it begins now. Imagine waking up tomorrow and wearing your vision like armor. No hesitation, no second guessing, just certainty. This is what identity-based living looks like. You don't hope for change, you walk like the change already happened. Your energy enters the room before you do. And people feel it. Because when you live from identity, you stop negotiating with life. You stop waiting for permission. You stop shrinking to fit old versions of yourself. You were not born to repeat history. You were born to create it. Your goals are not something outside of you. They are echoes of your truest self calling you forward. But here's the catch. Only one version of you can hold the weight of your destiny. The highest one. The one who speaks the truth even when it shakes. The one who chooses standards over comfort. The one who no longer apologizes for greatness. This is not arrogance, it's authority. Internal authority. The kind that says, I will no longer act like I'm average just to make others comfortable. And every time you repeat the words, I expect the best, or I give thanks in advance, you are carving out a new mold for your mind. Each repetition is a chisel, and the statue you're sculpting is the version of you that already attracts what you used to chase. You don't manifest what you're not ready to receive, so your job is to become ready not by waiting, but by being. Act as if it's yours not to deceive, but to declare. Walk like your future depends on it, because it does. Think of the most powerful version of you. How would they spend this morning? What would they ignore? What would they say no to? What would they build? You already know. Now align. When you make this shift, you stop fearing failure, because failure is no longer a threat. It's a tool, a signal, a redirection, not a rejection. And even failure begins to serve you. This is the magic of identity. It changes how you interpret everything. Obstacles become teachers, delays become preparation, doubt becomes proof you're stretching. The old you would have quit here. The new you smiles at the challenge because the new you expects it. The new you is ready for it. And every time you wake up and speak with certainty, every time you say the words that frame your day, you're not just talking. You are training your nervous system to live in victory. And what becomes normal to your nervous system becomes visible in your life. Soon you won't just be saying these things, you'll be living them. And others will notice. Not because you told them, because they feel it. The world always mirrors your identity. And you, my friend, are becoming the kind of person who doesn't just hope for change, but becomes it. This isn't just about words anymore. It's about wiring. Each morning sentence becomes a signal to your body, to your brain, to the field around you. And the more consistent the signal, the clearer the outcome. You are not manifesting blindly. You are coding reality, consciously, repeatedly, relentlessly. Because greatness doesn't come to the one who begs it, comes to the one who embodies. Say this: I do not fear delay, I prepare in it. Say this: I do not negotiate with doubt, I move through it. Say this: I do not chase the outcome, I build the foundation. And what you build becomes who you are, brick by brick, morning by morning, identity layered over identity. Soon the old you fades like a shadow at sunrise. You don't remember when it shifted, you only know it did. You no longer fear being seen, because what they see is real. You no longer hide your ambition, because your actions already speak louder. You no longer delay your dream, because every cell in your body already lives there. This is identity mastery. It's not about proving. It's not about impressing. It's about aligning. And once you align deeply, truthfully, consistently, everything that once felt out of reach begins to find you. You don't force it, you don't fake it, you speak it, you live it, you expect it. That's how power is built, that's how vision becomes vibration, and that's how reality bends. Now breathe, because in the next block we go deeper into the power of invisible agreements, the silent contracts you've signed with mediocrity, and how to break them forever. You were never meant to live as an echo of your past. You are here to declare something new, to stand at the edge of your old identity and leap not with fear, but with fire. Because the life you crave isn't waiting for someday. It's waiting for a decision. And that decision is made every morning, not with noise, but with knowing. Not with striving, but with speaking. Not with hoping, but with becoming. This is your moment to become undeniable. So say it one more time and mean it. I already am. Most people don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they've made silent agreements with mediocrity. Invisible contracts, written in the language of excuses, signed in the ink of repetition. These contracts sound like, maybe next year. I'll try later. I'm not that kind of person. I don't want to be too much. And every time you repeat those lines, you reinforce the terms. You don't just think them, you start living them. But not you. Not anymore. This morning we tear up those contracts. We cancel the agreements that kept you safe, small, and stuck. You were not born to blend in, you were born to break through. And breakthrough begins with awareness. Ask yourself, what are the silent contracts I've signed? Is it the belief that you must stay humble to be accepted? That your dreams must shrink to fit the comfort of others? That success is reserved for someone better than you? These are lies, and you've been negotiating with them long enough. Now is the moment you tear them up not with rage, but with clarity. Say this: I no longer agree to stay hidden. I no longer agree to delay greatness. I no longer agree to play small so others feel big. Your power is not in how much you can take, it's in how boldly you can release. Because everything you carry that isn't you costs you. You pay with energy, with peace, with presence, and the price is too high. This morning, we begin again, as the version of you who says yes to expansion, yes to impact, yes to truth, because this version of you signs different contracts, ones that say, I rise regardless, I speak even when I shake, I trust even when it's dark. These are the new terms, and you don't need permission to accept them. All you need is decision. Decision is the birthplace of power. It doesn't need fanfare. It doesn't wait for approval. Real decision feels like a line drawn in the sand. Once crossed, there's no going back. From this moment on, you no longer negotiate with your old identity. No more asking for permission from your past. No more waiting for the stars to align. The stars will respond once you do. You are the alignment. The moment you decide that your voice matters, the universe stops sending echoes and starts sending opportunities. But hear this clearly. When you break the old contracts, the old patterns will scream. They'll call you back. They'll whisper, come home. But that's not home anymore. That's history. And history doesn't hold your future. You must be willing to disappoint your past in order to build your destiny. That's not betrayal. That's birth. So when the old thoughts rise, who do you think you are? You've failed before. This is too much. You answer back with a voice that's been silent too long. I'm the one who woke up. I'm the one who decided. I'm the one who chooses forward every single morning. Say this: I release what's no longer mine to carry. I release the guilt, the shame, the weight of who I used to be. Feel that? That's you taking your power back. And when you reclaim your power, your choices shift. You stop tolerating what drains you. You stop postponing what calls you. You stop bending for people who benefit from your silence. Because every time you silence your truth, you rob the world of your gift. But today, you speak. You speak life, vision, clarity, discipline, freedom. And not just for yourself, but for everyone who's watching, hoping, waiting for someone like you to go first. This is legacy in motion. And legacy begins in the mundane, in the morning, in the moments when no one's watching. Because power isn't built in the spotlight, it's built in the shadows. It's built when you choose your future over your fear. It's built when you show up as the one who's already free, even if you don't feel it yet. Say this: I walk like it's mine, because it is. Not out of arrogance, but out of agreement. You've signed a new contract with truth, with excellence, with the future version of you who's already waiting with open arms. And as you move today, you'll feel something strange peace. Not the kind that comes from absence of problems, but the kind that comes from alignment. The kind that comes when every step you take echoes your decision. You're not faking it. You're following through. You're not trying. You're training. You're not hoping. You're building. And what you build today becomes your evidence tomorrow. Brick by brick, word by word, identity by identity. This is how transformation becomes inevitable. Let go of the fantasy that one morning will fix everything. This isn't about magic, it's about momentum. You don't need a miracle, you need a rhythm. The kind of rhythm that builds trust with yourself moment after moment. When your word becomes law in your own world, everything else aligns. You stop chasing motivation because you've built something stronger: momentum. Say this: I don't rise when I feel like it. I rise because I said I would. Let those words anchor into your nervous system. Because when you do what you said you'd do, especially when it's hard, you rewire your identity from the inside out. You become the kind of person who can be trusted with big visions. The world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you prove you can handle. And proof isn't found in the results, it's found in the rhythm. When you build rhythm, you build reach. When you build reach, you build range. And soon, you're no longer reacting to life, you're commanding it. And don't mistake consistency for perfection. You will fall, you will stumble, you will feel like quitting. But the difference now? You get up faster, you recover with intention, you remind yourself that today's mistake is not a life sentence, it's a lesson. Every setback is fuel for the next rise. Say this: today I rise cleaner, stronger, wiser. Because you're not starting from scratch anymore, you're starting from strength. The kind of strength that's been earned in silence. In the mornings you didn't feel like it. In the days no one noticed. In the nights you questioned everything but showed up anyway. That's what makes you unstoppable. You no longer rely on hype, you live on alignment. And alignment will carry you where adrenaline never could. So walk forward, keep the contract signed, and if your hands tremble, let them tremble while still reaching. The new you doesn't need to feel ready. The new you knows that showing up creates readiness. Say this: I don't need to be perfect. I just need to be present. And you are, right now, fully, powerfully, exactly where you're supposed to be. Today, something subtle but irreversible has shifted. You are no longer the person who waits. You are the person who walks 7 when the road is unclear. You are the one who speaks 7 when the voice shakes. You are the one who rises 7 when comfort begs you to sit. This is no longer theory. This is identity. You've burned the old script, you've canceled the old contract, and what remains is raw, honest power. Power that doesn't shout. Power that doesn't beg. Power that simply is. So walk into this day with that power humming through your chest. Let every word you say echo your commitment. Let every action be a signature on the new agreement. This is the beginning of everything. You've remembered who you are. Now act like it. Each morning is not just a fresh start, it's a reprogramming. You are not simply waking up, you are logging into your future. Every word you say is code, every intention you hold is instruction, and the subconscious listens. This is not wishful thinking, this is structural transformation. Say this: I am not waiting for the life I want, I am building it. Because waiting is passive, building is powerful. And builders think differently. They don't measure the day by how easy it was, they measure it by how aligned it was. So let's ask, was today a step in the direction of the life you say you want? If not, good. That awareness is the gift. Because once you see the gap, you can close it. And you close it with language, with movement, with repetition. You stop waking up to your circumstances and start waking up to your creation. That is the shift. You are no longer owned by the past. You are guided by the future. So say this: I am the architect of what comes next. Let it hit your nervous system. Let it interrupt the doubt, the stories, the delay. Because every morning that you speak like this, you weaken the old patterns and strengthen the new ones. That's how habits are built. That's how identity becomes solid. Not by shouting affirmations into the void, but by turning those affirmations into alignment, into action, into architecture. You don't just say it, you shape it. You live it. You enforce it. That's how the new you becomes real, not in fantasy, but in frequency. Not just on a good day, but especially on the hard ones. Because anyone can speak power when they feel strong. But you choose to speak power when you feel small. And that choice, that sacred, defiant choice, is what changes everything. Because when you speak truth in the dark, you don't just hear your voice, you find your strength. And strength doesn't come from what you control. It comes from what you face. This morning, face it all. The doubts, the fatigue, the pressure, and don't flinch. You're not here to be perfect. You're here to be present. Because presence is power. The more present you are, the more potent your decisions become. And decisions made in presence carry a weight far heavier than any excuse. Say this: I show up fully, even when I'm afraid, even when I'm tired, even when no one claps. And that's the Kai, especially when no one claps. Because when you stop performing for applause and start moving from purpose, you become unstoppable. You build momentum that doesn't need validation. You create rituals that don't depend on motivation. You become the kind of person whose consistency becomes louder than any mood, whose vision overrides every excuse. You become undeniable. So don't ask if it's working. Don't ask if you feel like it. Ask one thing only. Did I keep my promise to myself today? If yes, then you are winning in the only way that counts internally. And internal victories always manifest externally. It's just a matter of time. Because reality bends to the rhythm of your rituals. And if your rituals are rooted in truth, in clarity, in commitment, your future is no longer a question. It's a guarantee. So write it. Not with pen and paper, but with steps and silence. With your posture, your pace, your patience, with the way you hold your standards even when it's inconvenient. Because that's what separates the rare from the common. It's not talent, it's not timing, it's not luck. It's loyalty. Loyalty to a vision no one else sees but you. And that loyalty is tested every morning. It's tested in the alarm clock you ignore or honor, in the plan you revisit or rewrite, in the voice you silence or finally release. Say this: I'm loyal to the life I haven't met yet. Because if you're only loyal to what's visible, you'll stay a slave to your current circumstances. But when you become loyal to what's possible, you start pulling the future toward you. And soon, you won't just be dreaming about change, you'll be embodying it. And when that shift happens, when embodiment replaces imagination, you stop needing constant reminders. Because now, your life becomes the reminder. Every step you take affirms the decision you made. Every boundary you uphold confirms the value you've claimed. Every morning becomes sacred ground, not because of what's outside, but because of what you've chosen to plant inside. So say this again, with conviction this time. I build in silence what others wait for in noise. That's the blueprint. You build when it's quiet. You grow when no one's watching. You execute while others are still explaining. And one day, sooner than you think, what you've built in silence will speak so loudly, no one will be able to deny it. This is the great reversal. First, you speak life into your day. Then your day begins to speak life into your future. Not overnight, but inevitably, because you've trained the most powerful force you have: your attention. Attention is the currency of transformation. And when you spend it wisely, when you invest it into the future version of you instead of the past version of them, you rise faster than they ever thought possible. This is your rise. This is your reprogramming. This is the new way forward. A way built on rhythm, on truth, on fire. So walk into today with that knowing. Let your movements be louder than your doubts. Let your energy be cleaner than your excuses. Let your presence speak before your words do. And if you forget, just say it again. I am not waiting. I am building. I am becoming. Say it until it's no longer a phrase, but a frequency. Say it until it becomes the oxygen your mission breathes. Because it is. This morning isn't a reset, it's a revelation. You've remembered what most forget, that the most powerful thing you can do for your future is to command your present. Now walk. You weren't born to be neutral. You weren't designed to coast, to comply, to be forgotten. You were wired for intensity, for clarity, for creation. And that begins not someday, but right now. Every morning is your altar. Every decision, your devotion. Every action, your worship. You honor your calling not by waiting for signs, but by becoming the sign. You are the signal your future has been waiting for. So burn the old narratives, the ones that said you're too late, too flawed, too tired. Burn them with every step you take into discipline, with every promise you keep in silence, with every standard you raise when no one is watching. This is your proof. You are not who you were. You are not what they said. You are not your fears. You are your patterns, You are your persistence. You are your proclamations. And the most powerful proclamation is the one you repeat when no one claps, no one listens, and no one believes. Say it anyway. I am already becoming everything I was afraid to dream of. Let that sentence brand itself into your bones. Let it guide the next breath, the next step, the next morning. Because when your words shift your world, you don't just change your life, you change your lineage. Everything changes now. Not because the world gave you permission, but because you finally did. This is not just about today. This is about eternity. Because every morning you rise, you write a sentence in your legacy. And the question is, what kind of story are you writing? Are you writing the story of the distracted, the delayed, the doubting? Or are you writing the story of the determined, the disciplined, the dangerous? Because make no mistake, consistency is a weapon, and the person who wields it relentlessly, precisely, with faith that defies fact becomes unstoppable. You don't need more time, you need more truth. And the truth is, you've already been shown the path. It speaks to you in whispers when the noise fades. It calls to you in moments of stillness. It burns in your gut when you know you're betraying your own greatness. But knowing is not enough. You must act. You must move. You must become. Say this: I am no longer negotiating with mediocrity. Because mediocrity is not just a result, it's a mindset, a mood, a voice that must be silenced. And you silence it by walking deliberately, daily toward your highest standard, even if it's uphill, especially if it's uphill. Because the climb reveals the character, the effort reveals the essence. And when you show up to the altar of effort every morning, you don't just impress others, you impress your future. So speak now, with clarity and fire. I am not here to blend in, I am here to burn bright. And then prove it. With your thoughts, with your tone, with your time. Because the world is not waiting for another echo. It's waiting for your original sound. But to release that sound, you must first destroy the noise. The noise of doubt, screaming that you're not ready. The noise of comparison, whispering that you're too late. The noise of comfort, seducing you to stay average. You must break the rhythm of the world to build your own. And it starts with your morning. Every morning is a chance to reframe who you are, not based on what happened yesterday, not based on the limits they handed you, but based on who you choose to be now. Say it with fire. I owe no loyalty to my limitations. Because your limitations are not facts, they're frequencies. And when you rise with intention, you change the station. You start tuning into what's possible instead of what's probable. You start living from your future instead of reacting from your past. That's when everything starts to bend. Because reality cannot ignore a person who has decided. And when you decide to move like the version of you that already made it, the world starts catching up. Doors open, resistance dissolves, people shift. Not because they changed, but because you did. So say it again. I'm not waiting to feel worthy. I'm acting as if I already am. Let those words pierce the lies you've been sold. You don't earn your power, you remember it. And the morning is your memory. Every breath, a reminder. Every step, a resurrection. You're not rebuilding, you're reclaiming. You're not inventing greatness, you're uncovering what was buried by fear, by routine, by permission seeking. Burn the permission slip. You do not need a cosign to become who you were born to be. You need conviction, repetition, fire. And you've got it. Because the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still listening means it's not over. It means your greatest work is still unwritten. And your morning is the pen. So write something eternal. Write something fierce. Write something no one can erase. Let them wonder what changed. Let them question how you elevated so fast, how your presence suddenly feels like pressure. Because you're no longer speaking from pain, you're speaking from power. You've traded your wounds for wisdom, your hesitation for heat, And that heat builds daily in private, when no one claps, when no one texts, when no one believes. That's where legacy is born. Not in applause, but in alignment. So say this: I don't chase moments, I create movements. That's what happens when you show up again and again with your full self. The world adjusts to your new frequency, not the other way around. But you must demand it first from yourself. Demand that you stop apologizing for your intensity. Demand that you stop shrinking to fit into rooms that were never built for your fire. Demand that your mornings are not a compromise, but a consecration. Because when the morning is sacred, the day is unstoppable. This is your sanctuary. Not just for planning, but for power. Not just for reflection, but for rebirth. This is where you remember. Greatness is not in your DNA, it's in your decisions. And decisions are made one morning at a time, one thought at a time, one breath at a time. That's how legacies are built. That's how timelines are altered. That's how futures are forged not through fate, but through fire. So if you're tired, good. It means you've been building. If you're scared, good. It means you're standing at the edge of a breakthrough. And if you're ready, say it now. I'm not here to repeat life. I'm here to reinvent it. Let those words be your signal. To every fear that tries to return. To every lie that tries to whisper. To every excuse that tries to negotiate. No more negotiation, no more delay. You've waited long enough. The morning has arrived, and so have you. This moment is not the end of your journey. It's the ignition. You are not closing a chapter. You're opening a new dimension, where fear doesn't make the decisions, where doubt doesn't write your script, where your vision is the only authority. Say this: I serve the future I see, not the comfort I know. That is the language of those who transcend. Those who are not addicted to being understood, but obsessed with becoming undeniable. Those who leave echoes behind not because they shouted, but because they lived so loud. So step into your morning like it's the battlefield of transformation. Come armed with clarity. Come armored in conviction. This is the new you, not because of a date, not because of a goal, but because of a vow. You've sworn allegiance to your next level. You've broken the contract with who you were, and now everything must align. Your walk, your words, your wake up, because what you say in the morning becomes the law of your day. So speak like a ruler, declare like a visionary, move like your legacy depends on it, because it does. Say this one last time, and never forget it. I was not created to survive this life, I was created to shape it. And you are, right now, with every word, with every breath, with every morning. The old you is gone. The future has arrived, and it's wearing your name.